And hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hi, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. And that's right, I am 56. 56, a little actually over 56 hours in this week's fast. And I'm excited that you're here, right? I'm glad that you're here. For many of you who've been following, those of you who started fasting with me, 56 hours into this week's fast. And tonight, we're going a little deeper, not just into fasting, but into the rhythm, the repetition, the identity that you are walking into, right? This week, we've been talking about walking and how that integrates into our health action plan, and how putting the two together, fasting and walking, has been an amazing process to jumpstart our metabolism and get us into the space where we can reverse diabetes, improve our metabolic disease. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this space, we are living limitless lives. And limitless living says that we are doing anything that we can to make ourselves successful. We're breaking free from boundaries. We're breaking free from those obstacles. We're breaking free from all those things that can hinder us, and we're presenting our best self, our best plans, and our best life, our best health. So that's what we're doing in this space. You know how we do it here. We've got some things that we're going to be taking a look at here in just a minute. I've got my monitors off to the side. I've got my report off to, well, let's go ahead and pop that up so you can see that. We'll take there we go. We'll take a look at that. I've got my Keto Mojo. I've got my contour here in a minute that we'll take a look at so you can see what's been going on with my blood sugar. We're going to do a quick check-in so that you know how I'm doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. And of course, we have our amazing community that's out there that we're going to be talking to and saying hello, who are currently, many of them are fasting. Many of them have come out of a fast. Many of them are going into a fast. And of course, we are in this space to support each other and to be as successful as we possibly can. I want to make a big plug for our series, well, two series that we've done, that we are in the process of doing, let me say it that way. Our 100-day walk to consistency, which we concluded a little over 2 weeks ago now, almost 3 weeks, believe it or not. We are on day number 14 starting tomorrow, and that's 2 weeks into the series. It is part of our MOVE campaign, right? So walking and strength training paired together, they are big components in our health action plan. So I encourage you, if you've not joined us yet, if you've not been in that space, it is a great place to be, and we are making great strides as we are setting ourselves up for health success and, of course, improving our metabolism. So make sure you get over there and take a look at that. We're also going to be doing our check-in tomorrow. We're going to be doing a full check-in, and that one I'm going to actually be traveling, so we're going to do a recorded version of that you will get to see. So make sure that you join us. Make sure that you hop in and support the community as we are as we're moving through the space, because this week has been an amazing one as we have reviewed the first pillar of our health action plan, and that was walking. Remember, there are 7. We're going to be going through those as we go through the next several weeks. So give me just a second, let me pull this up so that we can see what my blood sugars have been over the course of the last day or so, because you guys will recall that we did a check-in yesterday. And what do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? So if you have a guess, go ahead and drop those in. And I am now 56 hours, a little over 56 hours into this week's fast. I think, if I recall correctly, yesterday they were 1 point something, right? I don't remember the exact number, but we'll take a look at that here in just a minute so that we can all see. And then, of course, you have been also participating in our walking campaign, part of that MOVE campaign that we've been doing. And so here is my all right, so that'll come up here in just a minute. So while that's coming up, I'm pulling up my reports, my apps. Let's go ahead and let's do a quick check-in. So we talk about where I am, how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally, because those are the places where people tend to have their most difficult times. So let's go ahead and do that. So physically, I am actually feeling pretty good. I did get some good rest last night, but over the course of the last several nights, it's been a little interesting, right? Because we had a trip that's coming up that was a little bit unexpected, and so I'm having to shift gears. So I had to get some things ready. I was out actually doing our video for tomorrow for our strength strategy and mindset, and so I've been doing a fairly good job, I think, of getting rest. I think last night I said that I was doing a good job. Last night it was kind of halfway there. So I am feeling a little tired. Got to get ready for that, and some things that I've got to do tonight to get ready so that I can take that trip. But I'm not feeling lightheaded, sweaty, dizzy. I'm not feeling palpitations. I have been doing a great job, I think, of maintaining my hydration, even as we're doing that now here on the show. Okay. And then mentally, actually feeling pretty good as well. But as we if we're not taking care of our physical body, then that can affect our mental acuity and our thoughts as well. Right now, as I've gone through today and as I've done, things I've done this evening, think I'm feeling pretty good. A little bit, a little bit anxiety there as I'm trying to get everything done. But other than that, I think doing well. One of the things that I point out when we do our full review of fasting is that in the middle of stress, then that has a profound effect on your blood sugars and a profound effect on your cravings, right? If you watched our check-in, a brief check-in that we did earlier today, you saw me, or yesterday, you saw me talk about some things that were in the kitchen, that I went by, I saw, I didn't get it, right? But I tell you, the temptation was there. The temptation was there. And it was not because of that my body needed that. It was because that my mind, right, was in the stressful or the anxiety or whatever was going on. And so part of the way that we buffer is with food. And if you've been there, you know that, right? And then, of course, emotionally, excited for some things that are going on, right? Like I said, I'm traveling. Excited for where I have been in the course of our Limitless Living pathway. That's been exciting for me to see the people who are having benefit, the people who are fasting. This week, we started doing some random check-ins as we went through the fast. I think that was an exciting thing for me to be able to connect with you. Someone said last night in our show that it felt more immersive because they were a part of the process. And so that all brings excitement for me. And then just, talking with the family and hanging out with my, on Thursday, we typically have a executive meeting, which is my wife and myself and our practice manager is usually the case. But we had that today. And so just being able to chit chat and talk and to try to chart the course for what we are doing as a practice in terms of seeing patients and some of the things that we want to do there and just talking about how we get that done. So I get excited about those types of things. So anyway, so emotionally right now, actually feeling pretty good in that space. So let's hop over and take a look at blood sugars, because those of, here is my Freestyle Libre. And you'll see that it says right now I'm 80, and right in here you'll see the blood sugar, and right that space that you see between the red and white, that was when I had to change the meter or change the sensor today because it expired. Okay, so 80. For most of the morning, you'll see the red, and that's been in the below 70. That's what that means. And then, of course, in the afternoon, in the evening, it went up above 70 and kind of hung out right close to 70. We'll see a little bit more when we get to the Dexcom. Let's go ahead and do that now. Hop over to the Dexcom, and the Dexcom right now says 104. And let's kind of go through and see what those numbers have been. And this is a 12-hour view. And what I like about the Dexcom, it allows me to put my finger and kind of run that across, and we'll see what the numbers were this morning, which kind of coincides with what the Libre said. Right, so 70s, 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 went down to 60s there for a little bit. Oh, there's a 55. That's why it was screaming at me earlier today. And then right there. And so I want you to notice something. So right here, let's see, what time was that? Yeah. So I came home this evening. So I got home a little late. And my son and I, as I mentioned, we've been working out together. And my son and I started working out. And I want you to notice something about the blood sugar. So we went from the 80s, right? So 60, 70 to 80s. And look at this. Pop up, right? So 111, right? And we were doing weights, and of course that blood sugar is coming back down right there. So this is what sometimes people will say, hey, I exercised, and I think Bowie asked us to do a show on fasting workouts. People will say, I exercised and my blood sugar went up. And my first question to them is, what kind of exercising did you do? And when they say I do strength training, then it makes sense. So let me kind of explain that a little bit. So our bodies provide energy for all the things that we do, right? So when we're eating, of course, the metabolism, we talked about that. That's the body's process of taking food and converting it into energy. But other than that, food is stored. Either it's running through our blood, right? Blood sugar, and that's the source of energy. Or it's stored in the liver, it's stored in the fat cells, some of it's actually stored in muscle. When we're exercising, the body has to give us extra fuel, if you will, or energy, which is why we say, if you exercise, if you walk, then the body takes sugar and it burns it up, and so your blood sugar actually goes down. Make sense? Okay, good. So that's the virtue of exercising. When you continue exercising, the body now has to, if it's used up all that's in the blood, right? This is the whole process of improving metabolism. If it's used up what's in the blood, then it has to go to the liver first to get sugar. And what happens is when we're exercising, when we do aerobic exercising, running, jumping, swimming, skipping, any of those types of things, what the body does is it gives us the energy, it gives us the sugar from the liver as we need it, right? So you need it. Hey, you need some? Okay, here's some, and we get it, we burn it off. Hey, I need more, give me some more, burn it off. Hey, give me some more, burn it off. So as we're exercising, then that sugar, those carbs are being given to the system so it can use it. And so what happens typically is when people are doing aerobic exercising, running, jumping, swimming, skipping, their blood sugar at the end of their workout actually goes down because the body gave them some, they used it up, and then they stopped exercising and the body stopped giving more. But those muscles for a brief time are still working. Make sense? All right. When we do strength training, on the other hand, the body gives us a big load of sugar because it doesn't really know how much sugar we need. So it gives us a big load of sugar, and it basically says, here's some sugar, use it, and then when you're done, whatever you don't use, you give it back to me. So that's the difference between how the body responds with sugar when it comes to exercising, whether we're doing strength training or we're doing weight training or strength training or aerobic exercises. So the reason that we tell people, the reason why walking, and we might as well just jump into it right now, the reason why walking is so important is because when you're walking, those muscles are actively moving and the body is having to give sugar at the time. Right? So as we're doing it, as we're walking, it's having to give us that energy right there and in that space. So what you see there, and that was a long explanation for what you may see there popping up as I started exercising, and then the blood sugar jumped up. Let's go and let's take a look at, and so right now we're 79 in terms of the Freestyle Libre. Let's go ahead and hop over and let's take a look at my monitors. Here's my Keto Mojo, here's my Contour, and let's get this guy out, and we need a strip for blood sugar, and we need a strip for ketones, and then we need a lancet, which we'll use there. We'll get 2 just in case, because that one doesn't work. And then we need a strip for the Contour. All right, so let's get that over here. And let's hop over here for just a minute. And pop this down just a tad. And then go back. All right, here we are. Okay, so let's get that strip in here. That's the Contour. These, like you saw that I've been having some challenges getting these open, so let's see. All right, so there we go. I did it long way. That worked better. Okay, so this is blood sugar for Contour or Keto Mojo. And then I'm going to go ahead and open this one and just have it off to the side. And I think I probably need to get another one, but okay, I think I can get into it. Anyway, let's grab blood while we do that. And I'm going to put this back up so you can see. All right, so here's my lancet. Let's grab a finger, do a finger stick, and ow, 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 ow. Ow, that better give me a good drop. Okay. I think it would, yeah, because I felt that one. All right, so here is blood sugar on the Keto Mojo, blood sugar on the Contour, and while those are running, we're gonna go ahead and keep, so 60 is what my Keto Mojo says, and my Contour says 69, and of course you see right there, my Freestyle Libre says 79, so pretty close, within 9 points of each other. Let's get this out, and I saw some people doing some guesses out there. So we'll come to that. Actually, let's get this started if I can get into it. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I don't like this new packaging. Let's see. All right, so I may have to just, okay, there we are. All right, so let's grab this. And so this ketones, get that started. And while this is running, I'm actually going to switch over and say hello to some of our community members, and then we'll see some of the guesses that you guys have, and then we'll come back here. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and say hello to some folks that we have out there. And let's see, we've got Julian who is with us, and she said, "Wow, it starts." Let's do this one. Here we are. Okay. She said, "Wow, it starts." Pamela says, "I know. I definitely get mine." Oh, there he is. Okay. Jennifer says, "Yes." Bowie says, "I watch this from my bed. I will sleep the moment this live stops." Awesome. Jennifer says, "The starting music makes me think Star Wars. Just need some Darth breathing." That's right. Luke, I am your father. No. Gian, hi, doctor. Hi again, Limitless Living Gang. Life starts, doctor. We're not sleeping. No, we're not sleeping yet. Says, me too. So Pam says she's probably in bed, especially tonight. Oh, hey, doc, from Lorraine. Hey, Lorraine, how are you? Thanks for coming through. And Gian says, me think that too. Music is amazing. Yes. Pam, doctor, you're not sleeping? No, I'm not sleeping. Pamela is laughing. So Jennifer says 1.9. So this is what I was wanted to get to. Jennifer says 1.9. Lorraine says 2. Bowie says 2.1. She says, ouch. So walk before my doctor appointment, but not strength train till after. I love it. Hey, that's one way to think of it. I love it. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look, and drum roll, please. Drum roll. And actually, let's just do it from here. Oops. Let's do it from here so you can see. So 1.6. 1.6 is what the Keto Mojo says that my ketones are right now. Okay. So remember, 0.5, less than 0.5 considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered therapeutic, or sorry, nutritional. And then above 1.5 considered therapeutic. And that, of course, just went off. So one other thing that I do want to look at is, let's take a look at weight, because that's the other thing that we've been tracking. My weight is 186, and you will recall over the last couple of days, let's see that. So you'll see down there at the bottom, we've been 189, 190, 191, 199, 191, 188, 186. Okay, and so a little over a year now, right? So we got down to 188, and so we've been kind of hovering in that 188, 190 space. And looking at my parameters, as I mentioned before, what I do is I look at my weight, yes, but I also look at all of these other things because they help me decide what I need to do in terms of adjusting my diet, my fluid intake, my exercising. And if I do that well, then the weight follows, right? So the weight is simply an extension of the things that we're doing here. All right. And then let's hop over and let's take a look at my monitor, my report. And so you'll see my A1C right there. My estimated A1C, or glucose management indicator, is a 6.3. So if I were to get an A1C now, based on that, it would be a 6.3. I'm in target 95% of the time, target being anywhere from 70 to 180, and my average blood sugar is 125. If I go back and do a 90-day average, let's go ahead and do that, and we'll see what that pops up is. So 7.2, right? Or 6.2, sorry. So that, once again, is in keeping with what that said. And I got blood work done a little over a week ago because I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. And so we will see what that is, and we'll come back and we'll share that with you as we move forward. If I look at my blood sugar over the last several days, you'll see 90s right now. 90s, 90s, 90s. And this is what we looked at on the monitor just a little while ago. We dropped down here to the 40s and then back up. And then, of course, here's that jump that we just talked about in terms of exercising. Going back, this was that bad monitor that we talked about yesterday, because we changed it here at 10:01. And then at 30 minutes later, at 10:31, after the new one got in, we went from 198 down to a 93, right? So we were basically 100 points higher here, and that corresponds with what the the Libre said. The Libre was in keeping with these numbers, and so at the office yesterday, I had one of our team members check my blood sugar, and it was in keeping with the Libre, and so we changed the sensor. We changed out the CGM for the Dexcom, and then started getting these numbers. Okay. But going back further, this is where it starts. Like, wait, well, this doesn't make any sense, right? So we went up to 170s into the 200s, and into the next morning, and so we're like, yeah, something is not right, and so we made that change. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and let's have our conversation about walking and fasting. Let's go ahead and do that now. All right. So we're talking about metabolism. And remember, metabolism is that way where the body converts food to energy, right? So we've explored this concept in depth. In fact, when we did our pillars of health, we went through and we walked through the domains of health. We walked through the metabolism before we got to the domains. And now we're talking about the health action plan and those things that now that we've figured out the domains, we know how to assess where we are, We know what those things are that are pushing us in the direction of poor metabolism or dysfunctional metabolism. Now, what's the tools that we use to improve that? And that's what the health action plan is. And we introduced that a couple weeks ago. We've been talking about walking, but tonight we are building on that, because at 56 hours, right, I'm no longer just fasting. I'm becoming someone new. My metabolism is improving. And so I want to talk a little bit about what is going on as we move into this space. So I want to talk first about rhythm. If you've been following us on the strength training and mindset, one of the things that you've heard me say, or even on the 100-day walk to consistency, is one of the things you've heard me say is rhythm, alignment, and structure. Rhythm is the general tenure, the course of your life. What's your North Star? What's the purpose? What are you about? That's rhythm. Alignment are the things that you do on a daily basis, the decisions you make, and the activities you do, are they consistent with where you say you want to go? So you want to lose weight, am I exercising? Want to lose weight, am I doing some strength training? Am I walking? I want to improve my blood sugar. Am I using balanced bites to watch the things that I'm eating? Am I fasting? So that's the alignment. Are the things I'm doing consistent with where I say I'm going as it relates to the rhythm of my life? And then, do I have structure? Do I have a way to make sure that I am in the process of doing those things? Because motivation is great. You go to a conference, you go to a class, you go see your doctor. Let me tell you an example. A lot of times people will come see me and they have a good report. Hey, your A1C is great. Blood sugars are better. Your weight's down. And they'll leave and they'll go away and they come back and see me, depending on what we're doing, 3 to 4 months later. And 3 to 4 months later, guess what happens? Right? So they think about me the week before they come see me, or 2 weeks before they come see me. But they hadn't thought about us, and they hadn't thought about this, or their weight, or their blood sugar, since we saw them in the office. And so now, what do? Right? So what has happened over that course of time? Their motivation has waned, and because they didn't have structure to keep the things going, they now show up and their A1C is higher, their weight's gone up, maybe their blood pressure's up, their cholesterol is higher. So the structure is the thing that negates your motivation. When there's structure, you don't need motivation. It's nice to have, it's great to have, but we are not pursuing motivation because motivation is fleeting. Structure is the thing that gets us in the space of being successful. So when we fast consistently and when we walk with intention, something powerful begins to happen. We stop relying on willpower. Because when you wake up in the morning and it's cold, willpower and motivation says, hey, let's stay in today. Right? When you wake up, or just like I was explaining in the office, as I'm walking by the break room and I look into the break room and I see sitting on the table those cookies, the hump cookies, right? Willpower says, hey, you've been doing a good job so far. You're almost 56 hours. You fast every week. One cookie is not going to make a difference, right? So willpower is not there. Willpower is going to not be enough. It is the rhythm. Now, let me tell you, one of my rhythms, one of my structures is you. You know why? Because I've got to come on here and show you my blood sugar. So I've built you into my routine. I built you into my structure. I built you as part of my support. Rhythm, alignment, and structure. Do you have those things in place that help you so that you're not relying on your motivation or your willpower? So my wife, one day I was leaving the house to go to work. And so as I'm leaving, she yells at me. She says, when you get to work, check your blood sugar and let me know what it is. And I thought to myself, I said, you know what? I'm a grown man. And in fact, I'm the endocrinologist. I'm the guy who's supposed to be checking other people's blood sugars, right? And then I realized, you know what? She's part of my structure. She's part of my structure. So that I am not just relying on me. And so that's rhythm. And rhythm reshapes identity. Right now, we are on day, like I said, we're going to be day 14 of our strength, strategy, and mindset. And over the course of this week, we have been, last week, and when we started, we taught some exercises, we taught some forms. And over the course of this week, we've been talking about doing those same things over and over, becoming efficient, making sure you have the right form as you're doing it, making sure you're holding the weights right, making sure you're activating your core, making sure you understand that it's not about the speed, but it's about the tension, the controlled tension that gives you the increase in muscle mass and the toning that goes on. So we've been talking about rhythm, doing it over and over and over and over. We're talking about that process. So every time you walk during your fast, it is a declaration that I move my body even when I don't want to. Every time that you're out there, it says I show up for myself even when it's uncomfortable. Every time you're there, it says that I am willing to do what I need to do to be successful. Every time you show up, you're saying, hey, I'm doing limitless living. I'm not allowing anything to prevent me from being where I need to be. So walking is not just about, hey, let me go do this thing. Walking sends a signal to your body. It sends a signal to your mind. Our brain is very protective of us. Our mind is protective. It does not want us to be in danger, which is why the amygdala takes over. Remember, that's the part that the survival. You see a tiger and you don't have to think about it. Boom, what do you start doing? You start running. Or someone comes at you, right? In terms of a dangerous situation, and you respond. Why? Because the amygdala took over. It's not the thinking brain, because the thinking brain says, wait a minute, tiger, oh, that's not good. But the amygdala says, I don't need you to think. We just need to get out of here. Okay? So the brain is in the protective mode, and it will create a scenario for you in your mind that is consistent with what you tell it. For example, I can't fast. I can't exercise. I can't get good blood sugars. You know what the brain then does? It begins looking for all the times, all the places, all the situations to make that come true. So you're supposed to fast, and that day, right, you're thinking about food. You didn't think about food earlier. You're supposed to start fasting, and that day you decide that you're going to do some other stressful activity. That day you decide that that's the day you're going to go to a particular restaurant. And we think that we just decided that. No, the brain is sending signals to us to say, okay, now let's go figure out how to make sure that you can't fast. Because it doesn't want us to be a liar. It wants our behavior to coincide with what we've told it. So if you say, I can't walk, the brain says, okay, well, let's make sure she can't walk. Let's make sure he doesn't walk. But every time you show up, every time you take a step, every time you say, okay, I'm going to do this, it is a vote for the new you, because the brain has to rewire. Say, wait a minute. He's been going for 100 days. Man, they're doing this 14-day fast. Not 14-day fast, but this 14-day strength training. Oh my goodness, look at that. They started with the community when Dr. Woode started his fast today. Look at that. They're doing it. They've completed 24 hours. They've completed 36 hours. They've completed 16 8-hours. They've done a 1 meal a day. And so now we can trust them. So it has implications way beyond just the fasting and just the walking that you're doing. You're no longer eating to soothe yourself. You're now reaching for sugar. You're not reaching for sugar to fix a mood. You're walking through discomfort. You're walking with clarity, with purpose, with resolve. So it no longer becomes just, hey, let me walk to improve my metabolism. But once you begin doing it, once you get into that rhythm, once you get into the alignment, the neuroplasticity picks up. And remember, neuroplasticity is the ability that the brain has to make new connections. So it now begins connecting your walking with all the things that you were doing to buffer. And it says, hey, look at this. We're good. We don't have to eat because I felt good when I walked. Oh, look at this. I don't have to take medication because my blood sugar got better when I walked. Hey, look at this. In my fasting, when I added the walking to it, my weight went down even more. So those connections begin being made. So this is behavioral rewiring. And we're rewiring under pressure. And this is where real change begins. This is where it happens. So how do we walk ourselves into the person that we're becoming? All right, how do we walk ourselves into that person? So here are 3 simple walking reflections that I want you to do as you're walking. You can do them right now. Get up, walk around the room as you're listening. Okay. Number 1, walk and observe. Often we are so tied into the schedule of our lives. We're so tied into the things that we do that we don't notice our first of all, the things around us, but we don't notice our own bodies. So as you're fasting, remember fasting is a way to clear the mind, because when we're fasting, we get some clarity, and then we add the walking there. That improves the production of beta hydroxybutyrate. It improves our aeration, it improves our circulation, it jumpstarts our fasting, it relieves our cortisol level. And remember, cortisol makes us forget. Cortisol is a memory sapping hormone. So when we do that, all of a sudden, we're in this space where the world seems brighter. And so as you walk, so walk and observe, is there some tension? Am I getting more clarity? Do I have more energy? I seem to be more resilient. As you notice those things, the brain makes a connection and it says, hey, when we walked, we felt better. When we walked, our mind was clearer. When we walked, we had more energy. When we walked, we were able to do more. We were able to deal with that issue better. And as it makes those connections, it will go to walking. It will go to fasting the next time something shows up that causes some tension, that causes some stress. The brain remembers, hey, that stuff that we did, just like right now it remembers the food, the chocolate. It says, hey, the stuff that we did, that worked. Let's go do that again. So number 1, walk and observe. Number 2, walk and reflect. We want to ask ourselves some questions. What is this fasting revealing about me, about my patterns, about my identity, about my choices? What is this revealing? We pair walking with fasting, and our mind opens. And so now we have the capacity to evaluate and deal with some of the stuff that we didn't have before. Because we're so caught up in the buffering behavior. We're so caught up in, as a matter of fact, our mind couldn't expand to handle those. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was telling him, man, I wish I had been able to handle some of these things before, right? Because the limitless living pathway, the health action plan, was not something that I sat down and last night said, okay, let's do this. It has been, the lessons I've learned has been some painful lessons over years of treating patients, of dealing with these situations myself. And I said to him, well, so if the lessons were there, if the concepts were there, why did I not learn them then? and he said something to me that is profound. He said, you could not have learned them then. He said, you were not in the mental space to learn them then. You had not learned some of the basal or the basic lessons on which these ideas now are built. You could not have done it then. And when we're intertwined with all of the stuff of life, when we're intertwined with the buffering that we do, when we're intertwined with the things that we do to not feel, to avoid feeling, to prevent ourselves from being hurt, when we put those different things in the little boxes, we can't allow our brains. Our brain does not have the capacity to expand to deal with some of the questions. And now that you're fasting, now that you have clarity, now that you're walking, now that you're supercharging this, now you have the ability to say, you know what? I really can be successful. I really can lose weight. I really can improve my blood sugar. I really can. And you can apply this. This is the beauty, limitless living. This is the beauty of it. We're talking about health. We're talking about metabolism. We're talking about reversing diabetes. But the same concept happens in your relationships. It happens on your job. It happens in your finances. It happens in your emotions. The same idea, when you are able to expand your brain, when you're able to ask questions, when you have done the work to allow the brain to expand, then the questions you begin asking are questions that supercharge you and push you into success. But you can't do that. You're not in that space yet. If you're not rhythm, alignment, structure. And then the next thing, right? You want to walk and you want to declare. So we're walking and we're observing. Hey, what's going on? Where am I feeling? How am I having an attention? I'm walking, I'm reflecting. I'm asking myself questions now. And now that I've evaluated it, I'm going to walk and I'm going to start declaring. I'm going to say it out loud. I am not driven by cravings. I'm driven by purpose. I do not eat to escape. I walk to align. You got that? Because now you begin saying, I can. In our 100-day walk to consistency series and the bridge to mindset, one of the things that I had you do was create what I called an I can journal. An I can journal. And I can journal are those things that you're putting in that you now can do. I can walk for 100 days. I can do strength training. I can fast for 24 hours. I can fast for 48 hours. I can fast for 72 hours. I can get a blood sugar that is in the target range. I can improve my A1C. I can lose weight. I can. Because prior to now, it was a doubt. And even now, if you have not recorded it, you're like, yeah, I guess I did some stuff. But no, let's write it down. We give the brain, we give the inner coach the ability to look at those things and say, okay, yeah, we can do this. I do not eat to escape. I walk to align. I'm making a choice to improve my health. Because here's what research shows. Movement anchors memory. You've heard me say, move a muscle, change a thought. But what we have learned is that if you reflect while you move, if you reflect while you walk, if you reflect while you're doing strength training, and you are thinking about those things, and you are saying those things to yourself, it imprints deeper into your mind. It doesn't stay surface. And it's not just about physical movement, it's about mental reinforcement. So when you're able to move, when you're able to walk, you're walking into the new you. You're walking in this. Look at that. See how that connected there? Right, because limitless living is powered by the new us. You hear me say all the time, when you show up, when you're here, your actions supercharge the concepts that you learn. When you add action to them, when you begin walking, you're no longer in theoretical mode. Because you're saying, hey, I'm doing this. This is what I do. And then we move, as we're walking and as we're fasting, we're putting those together, we move from intervention to integration. So fasting disrupts your old rhythms, right? We've learned that. When you fast, the things that you used to do to try to deal with the emotions, that gets interrupted. When you fast, you've got to find a different way of doing that. When you fast, you have to be more scheduled, more regimented. You have to have good organization skills. When you fast, you've got to deal with those people that you were trying not to deal with, right? Because now you have to deal with them without your net. So fasting disrupts your old rhythms. Walking integrates new ones. Because you're just not using food anymore to control your state or control your mind. You're using movement to ground it. So walking helps you to begin integrating. And here's where it all ties back into the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. Walking is not just a fitness goal. It is a part of our MOVE campaign, right? Walking and strength training. It is. But it's not just a fitness goal. It's the first pillar because it represents motion, momentum, and it represents mastery. Most people with fasting give up at the first sign of some challenges. Headache. I have a craving. I really, really want that cookie. But if you are aligned, if you've developed your rhythm, if you know what the rhythm is, if you're aligned with it, and you've put structure, we're saying the fact that you had that craving means nothing right now. Did you have it? Yeah. Are you going to have it again? Maybe. But that's not going to derail me. We're saying don't quit. Recalibrate. Don't pause. Don't stop. Pivot. What you do in this window, and I'm 56, 57, almost 57 hours now. What you do in this window becomes your new default. Every time you say yes to walking, every time you say yes to fasting, you're saying yes to yourself, and the brain says, okay, I got this. I got you. Let's do this. But every time you give up, every time you break a fast, every time you don't follow through, every time you go out of the structure, the brain says, okay, I knew this was going to happen. So this is more than a fast. This is identity formation. So here's your strength step for today. Right? Another word for challenge. Go for a walk during your fast. We talked about that yesterday. It doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be intentional. Walk. Observe. Reflect. And declare that I don't use food to deal with my emotions. I walk because I am interested and I am planning and I'm working on my metabolism. I'm reversing my metabolic disease. I am becoming someone new. Because at 56 hours, you're not just burning fat. That's what's happening. You're becoming someone new. And I invite you to join us for our next episode as we move through this amazing process as we live a limitless life, which says that I'm not allowing anything from outside or inside to prevent me from doing what I need to do. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, and the best plans for my life. And I am going to be successful because this is the new me that powers my limitless living. All right, all right. So just exciting. This is an amazing conversation because this is where the rubber meets the road, right? It's good to have the concepts. It's good to have the theory. It's good to have all of that. But right here is where it happens in your everyday. Where we talk about this on Friday. We talk about the fast. But on Monday morning, when you show up at work, on Monday morning or after the fast, when something happens in the family, on Monday morning when some stress happens, where does this happen? One of the things that we've been working on is what's called limitless living on the go. Limitless living on the go. And limitless living on the go is that space where we say, okay, sure, yeah, we're in the studio, we're on the show, but what happens like when you're not watching the show and you're at the grocery store? And I see one of our community members out there, Steve, who's always messing with me with the nuts. And so, Steve, when I go to the big store and I walk by and I see the jar of nuts, or Cornelia, when I walk by and I see the Cadbury chocolate, what does limitless living look like in that space? And so that's what I want us to learn, and you'll see that limitless living on the go coming more and more as we talk about that space. All right, so let's see. So we talked about the ketones, and then we see Sabui says, yeah, so walk before my doctor's appointment, but strength train afterwards. And then Gion says, thank you. Thank you all for being in this space. So I want to always remind us all that what we do is all based on and built on the Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the show, like we're doing now, because it's a mindset change. It is how do we put ourselves in the growth mindset? And the growth mindset says that the things that I have right now, this is not all I can have. I can be better. I can improve. I can learn. The fixed mindset says, hey, you're stuck. What you got is what you got. You can't make a change. You cannot improve. And we are working to move from the fixed mindset into the growth mindset, because the growth mindset gives us unlimited ability. I don't know it, but I can learn it. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I know I'm not staying here. I've never fasted before, but I understand that it is a great tool for improving my health and improving my blood sugar and reversing my diabetes. So let's go figure out how we're going to do this. Triple E formula for success. We educate. We empower with all the tools. Now, we've got tools across the platform. We've got our 100-day walk to consistency. We've got our current series that we're doing, the strength, strategy, and mindset. We did the Bridge to Mastery mini series. We've been doing our fasting as we do here and our fasting check-ins. We have talked about balanced bites, and the health action plan is a blueprint of some of those plans that says, okay, if I follow this, this is how I'm going to be successful. This is the structure I'm going to use. Remember, rhythm, alignment, structure. It is the structure that you use to be successful, to get into the space where you are making changes, making decisions for yourself. When we did our Bridge to Mastery mindset, the concept that we talked about there and we expounded on and we developed was this idea of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the belief based on history, based on data, based on supporting information, the belief that I can chart the course of my life, chart the course of my success and my metabolism by making choices and making decisions and being consistent. It's in here. My locus of control, my locus is not out there, it's in here. I get to make the choice. And that's why Limitless Living says that I am not allowing anything around me or in me to prevent me from doing what I need to do. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, and my best plans, right? Self-help and plans so I can be successful. Limitless living. And so we will be back for our check-in. As I mentioned earlier, that the check-in for tomorrow, the review is going to be recorded, but come join us. I'll be traveling. You may see me pop up somewhere. So pay attention to that as well. But it will be recorded. Come back. I am going to probably break the fast during that session. That's the plan. Come out, join the community, support each other. If you've not done so, let me just say this. If you've not joined our community yet, I'm encouraging you to join that. We got a vibrant community. You see several of the people here on the live, but the community is very important. Community is a big part of our Triple E formula for success. If you've not done that, go ahead and do that. Right below you somewhere, there should be a button that says join. To get access to that rich part of what we do here in this space. Tomorrow we'll do that check-in. On Saturday we'll do video from the vault. That'll be there as well. And then on Sunday morning, 6 a.m. Central, we'll be doing This Week in Review. And then on Monday, 7 p.m. Central, we'll be back in this space for Dwain Woode MD Live as we continue walking through the Health Action Plan, which is an integral part. It is the working arm of limitless living as we talk about health. Make sure you join us. Join us tomorrow morning for Strength, Strategy, and Mindset as we go through that process as well. And if you've not looked at the 100-Day Walk to Consistency, please get out there, look at that as well, and begin walking through that process. As I always say, I am so excited to be here with you. I am Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here in this space, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And we are living that limitless life, which says that nothing is preventing me. No situation outside of me, and no internal issue is preventing me from doing what I need to do to be successful in my metabolism and in all aspects of my life. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, and my best plans for my life. Thank you for joining me. Have a great evening. We'll see you at our next episode. Bye-bye, everybody.